Hello, my name is Dale Wilhite. I live at the Franz Clymer in Mountain Village, Colorado. If you want to find anything about me, you can go to MySpace where I have a page. Right now it is a Wednesday. It's close to 11 a.m. and we are getting pounded with a very big snowstorm at the moment. It's kind of light snow coming down right now, but any traveling that I was going to do today is pretty much over. This concept deals with domestic violence, something I know a lot about, except that in the form of child abuse. I know what that feels like, being the receiving end of a lot of violence as a child. So that's why I do a lot of stories and pitch a lot of concepts that deal with domestic violence and child abuse. My concept here is an idea that I believe that if enacted in the future would help curb domestic violence in America. And that is that we need to begin offering classes in our elementary schools, starting with about maybe like the 6th grade, and throughout the high school, and even into the colleges, that deal with domestic violence. It doesn't necessarily have to be a course, but it can be special classes where women who have been the victims of domestic violence can come in and talk to the students and explain to them the hell that they went through and the horror of it. I think children, school kids, need to learn about the statistics of domestic violence, and they need to see a lot of films on it. They need to see what it really is, how evil it is. And I believe that the ladies of our schools, the girls, need to be taught that no man is worth getting their brains beat out for. They need to learn at the very beginning of their dating. You know, in this course you think the parents would be the ones to teach this, but apparently they don't very much. They need to be taught to tell their dates the first time they go out with them that under no circumstances will they ever accept being a target or beaten on or verbally or physically abused. Girls need to be taught that starting with about the 6th to 7th grade. And they need to have that instilled into them that nobody, no guy is worth going out, dating, associating with, or marrying that beats on, period. And if they would instill that in these young girls while their minds are still open, then maybe that would curb some of the domestic violence as adults, because a lot of women put themselves in these situations where they somehow have this idea that they can't do without some guy. They just can't do without them, and they take that abuse. It ain't worth it. If you love somebody, you don't abuse them like that. But I don't have to tell anyone that watches this video just how bad it is out there. The boys, the young men, need to be taught that being a man means a lot more than just being macho. Beating up on people who might be weaker than you is not being a man. I mean, I wish we could take all these guys that beat up on women and make them have to face another man who's bigger than they are, stronger than they are, and see how they feel like getting beat up on by somebody that's much stronger, much bigger than them. That apparently you don't see very much. That'd be a good lesson for them. But I still think that in our schools, that's a place that we can begin dealing with domestic violence. And hopefully a lot of these kids will grow up and will remember what they were taught, and maybe we can start cutting down on all of this violence. I also believe that in the schools we need to teach these kids about child abuse. I've been at the receiving end of that a lot. And to learn the horrors and the terrors of that. But as far as the domestic violence is concerned, these kids need to see real women who have been really battered. They also need to see men that come in there who are in prison for it. If they can see the horror and the terror of domestic violence and what kind of hell it is, in many cases, I think maybe that would have an effect on them. Because again, you have to remember the reason why they're in school is not because of their age or because they're so young and they need to learn things. It's because their minds are still open. This is how you educate kids, while their minds are still open. And that's the best time to teach them these things. So, you might want to pitch this concept to your congressional representative, to your school board, letter to the editor all over the internet and get this going, because we need to add this to our schools throughout America. We need to take this domestic violence and child abuse head on. And the only way we can do it is not just by throwing more people in jail. That, we still should do that. But we have to also go and build a foundation to deal with domestic violence and things like child abuse. And that would start within the schools. You start with the kids while they're young enough and impressionable enough where you can reach them while the minds are still open. I can sit and tell you story after story about what I learned in school that had a lasting effect on me, like smoking. We had people come in and tell us all the bad things about smoking. It affected me so much that I chose not to smoke. I chose not to do drugs. I chose not to become an alcoholic. But the most important thing that these courses can teach is to teach the young men how to be men. Being men beating up on women doesn't make you a man, it makes you an animal. And of course there are some women that are very violent as well. And maybe all these kids need to be reminded that there are some women who can be just as evil and just as violent as men, and sometimes even more so. Why? I don't know. But that's just maybe the devil in them. I don't know. But anyway, this is a way to stop some of the domestic violence in America for the future. We just throwing everybody in jail isn't dealing with it yet. You've got to reach children. You've got to reach them while their minds are still open. Thank you for your time, and I hope you will take this concept and run with it.